Hey, everybody, how are you doing? This is Tim Laskus, and this is the Tim Laskus Show, episode 14, rolling right along. And today's guest is Robinn Lange. This guy is incredible. He is an entertainment business expert, an author, an agent, a talent broker, a producer, a business coach, a consultant. He's been featured on shows such as Oprah and All My Children. He also, as an agent, has represented the rich and famous people such as George Burns, Kenny Rogers, Loretta Lynn, Willie Nelson, and the Beach Boys. And he's got an awesome story of him and Michael Jordan going golfing. You got to listen to this. Enjoy.
The Tim Laskus Show, in search of entrepreneurial gold. Tim digs deep into the minds of his guests, entertaining, down to earth, and informative. Now, here's your host, Tim Laskus.
Welcome, everyone, to the Tim Laskus Show. I'm honored to have Robinn Lange as my guest today. Robinn, thank you for joining me.
Hey, Tim, thank you so much for having me. This should be fun.
Hey, this is going to be great. Earlier, you were telling me about all the memorabilia you have, that you have so much, your family actually called the Hoarder Show on you. Is that true?
Now, that was supposed to be a secret, but that's kind of the underlying tone. Even my daughter is very funny because I had to move a couple of years ago, or just recent, a year and a half ago, but I stayed with her for a bit of time here. And when you physically see everything you have in boxes, when I moved in with her, I didn't want to unpack everything. I just took the necessities, and all my other stuff was in boxes. And just the memorabilia and collectibles and stuff that I had alone, probably my clothes took up one or two boxes, but there were probably close to 40 or 50 that were all of this stuff.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here looking at it like, yeah, someday this is all going to be yours. And she's looking at it like, oh, someday I got to go through all of this stuff.
Right. Well, describe a little bit of what you see around you so the listeners can kind of get an idea of what you're collecting.
Well, I've been in entertainment my whole life. And, like most people, I started as a fan, and then that inspired me to get into the business. And through my journeys, I have just been so privileged to work with and meet so many great celebrities. And I grew up a child of the 60s. And so the whole 60s, 70s, pop culture, 50s, 60s, 70s pop culture is something I enjoy. I enjoy the people. I enjoy the good times, the memories. Some people, when they think of that period, they think of war and they think of unrest in the country, and that's fine. That was a part of our history, but I tend to think more of the pop culture, the trends, the fads, and I don't know. Maybe it's just my personality or my DNA or my makeup here, my composition, but I tend to have a great pulse on pop culture and the biggest parts. The Beatles coming when that was the first big thing in my life. And then Batman, when it came on TV in color, which was big at the time, and just all of the things through the time. So I collect a lot of celebrity memorabilia, autographs, a lot of pictures of myself and different things that we've done together. So it's kind of an offshoot of my work, but it's something that I never started out to do. I just, here's somebody that I enjoyed their work. I got a picture with them, or I do an autograph, or they were on my radio show. I had a celebrity interview show for a while. And so I just get things as a result of all of that. And the next thing you know, that became a hobby.
Right. Now, is there one piece that you have that you would not part for anything? If someone came up to you today and said, Robinn, I've got $1 million, I'll give you $1 million for that. What is it that you have the most connection to?
It's funny because it's not anything that would be of value to anyone else. I remember in all my adult life, I had never called to work sick. And I remember I was doing my radio show at the time, And this can't remember. This maybe was 94, 95, somewhere back in there, back in the Midwest, and from Chicago. And everything was hot at the time. I mean, Oprah was hot, and Michael Jordan and the Bulls were hot. And on my radio show, I had a couple of co-hosts with me, sidekicks. And so this one day I said, you know what? I think I'm going to I feel so terrible. I'm going to stay home and do the show from my bed. And I had the capabilities to put a mic in there and remotely do it. So we thought it would be kind of funny, and they were all teasing me, and that'd be great. So that was our morning meeting about 9 a.m. This was an afternoon drive radio show. Well, at about, 11:30, somebody from the station calls me and says, you have a message here. And normally they would just save them there. When I would get in there, I would check my messages. But they were like, I think you need to know you got this message. Michael Jordan called for you. And I said, what? And this is Michael Jordan wants to invite you to a special golf thing this afternoon. And it was, like I said, I'm sicker than a dog. And I'm thinking, but Michael Jordan, I mean, he was like the biggest athlete in the world at the time. And some people still think he's the greatest.
Can't pass that up.
And, and it was literally, the country club was a couple blocks from my house. So it couldn't have fallen nicer on my lap, So I said, and it was the grand opening of a golf course or a golf center that had his name, the Michael Jordan Golf Center. So I said, I'm going to go to this. This is a rare opportunity. So I leave my daughter a note. So when she got home from school, when she left, I was sick. I said I'd be there all day. So I left her this note. And then I get dressed and I try to look like I'm healthy. And I go to this thing and I'm hanging out with Michael and Pat O'Brien and talking to him and everything. And we get to this driving range and he drives a few balls. And the next thing I know is he comes to me and he says, Robin, and he hands me the club. Like, do you want to drive? And I said, everybody's there, the press and the media, the mayor and everybody. The last thing I want to do is, I'm not even good on a miniature golf course. I've never golfed before.
Pressure's on.
So I tell him, I said, I've never done this. So he says, here, I'll help you out. So I walk up to the tee and like a father towering over maybe his 3 or 4 year old son or daughter, he puts his arms kind of out around me, reaches out around me, puts his hand on the club with mine. Now, keep in mind, I look like I'm that 4-year-old kid next to him, And so he helps me with my swing and everything else. And we do this little hit together, which was kind of funny and comical. And then I do one myself. And, the gods were with me that day because I actually hit it. It wasn't straight, but it went far. It got an applause. And that was my last golf thing. So there were pictures taken of it. And that specific picture from that specific moment is something that is probably my favorite piece. Means the most to me.
So it's almost like a snuggle picture with Michael Jordan. What's that?
I guess you could call it that. I mean, it was kind of cute is what it was. And people were laughing. And those that knew my radio show knew that I was kind of, it was a talk show, a celebrity talk show. So, a lot of times I would talk about my escapades with different celebrities. And there's a notion in showbiz, in the media especially, that you never want to meet your idols because often they disappoint you, and that's because we have them on such a pedestal and we think of them in such a great regard that a lot of times when you meet them in just a normal situation, they're not there. And so there's a little level of potential disappointment. But this day was so great. I mean, he treated me, he respected me. He saw the humor in it. I saw the humor in it. We both went for it, and it was just a very memorable thing.
Wow, that's an awesome story. We could probably talk all day about that. But let's move on into your area of expertise professionally. What are you currently working on at the moment?
Well, I tell you what, I specialize in entertainment business. I help entertainers. I help expose people to job, career, and business opportunities in live entertainment. A lot of people don't think of entertainment as a job or a career or a business opportunity. We may have all been to a wedding where we see a DJ or something, but we don't stop and think that, boy, this guy's really got a business, and he's probably getting paid $1,500 to perform at this event, and boy, he's got this big library of music and all this great sound and lighting. People don't think of it as a job or a business. They kind of brush over it. It's just kind of something there in the background. And this is on all levels. You could be at a kid's party where they have a magician, and people don't realize that magician is probably a locally working professional magician, full or part-time. And that Saturday, he may have 4 or 5 different shows, making $200-$300 a show. So the guy could probably be bringing in, $800, $1,000, $1,200 that day. But they don't look at what he's doing as a job or career or business opportunity. So years ago, I created a directory called the Entertainment Career and Business Opportunities Directory, where I put together the top 40 of these kind of opportunities. And then I work with exposing people to these and then helping them get into it, showing them the ropes. I have some resources I've written. I do coaching, training, and mentoring. And then I work with professional and skilled entertainers. And then I also work with venues to show them how to utilize and profit and benefit from entertainers, whether it's a charity or a school or a fundraising event or something like that. I show them how to use entertainment and as an investment tool of a business entity. So I work and train people on the art and science of entertainment,
Right.
live entertainment.
Now, why does live entertainment offer such unique opportunities?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's kind of your work is in a fun, recreational, and often celebratory environment. People are there to have a good time, and it could be a nightclub, it could be a comedy club, it could be, like I say, a wedding, it could be a banquet of some sort. People come to have a good time, and you're the one that can make that happen. So I think the working environment is part of it. I also think that above average earning potential for other kind of entry-level opportunities. For example, I get a lot of college students that get into entertainment, whether it's as a DJ or a magician or a comedian or whatever, to make some money to help get them through college. And a lot of them end up realizing, geez, I really want to do this and pursue it. Either, I keep it as a part-time income or something. But, when people can make $50, $100, or $500 an hour doing something, it kind of beats, working at the local convenience store for $10, $11, $12 an hour, So, and then I think the fact that a lot of entertainment, what people see is the performance. What they don't see is the behind the scenes operations or the business side, which we don't usually have storefronts or big fancy offices. A lot of entertainers or entertainment companies are home based. So it actually has good earning potential, low startup cost. You can work from home or a minimal office or something like that. And a lot of times it's a great thing for couples or husbands and wives or single parents, even retired people to get into. So I train a lot of, one area that I do a training on is the whole Santa business, the business of Santa.
Oh, wow.
And the holiday business. And I've got retiree people 55 and older that do a seasonal Santa business, and they make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in the 6 weeks before Christmas. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's another one. A lot of people don't think of if there could be such a thing as a business about Santa, but it's a very profitable business. Let me tell you, very lucrative.
Sure.
So that's I think those are the greatest appeals: is the earning potential, the low startup, the work at home. You can do this part-time. You can do it locally. You can do it nationally. There's so many ways to kind of pick and choose exactly how you want to do it and participate.
Right. Now, you mentioned, Santa, and you don't even have to grow a beard to be Santa, because you can have the fake beard and even put the pillow over your stomach and under your jacket and all that good stuff. So, or if you just want to pig out starting Thanksgiving and kind of bulk up, I think that would be okay too.
Oh yeah.
But what are some other opportunities that
do
you
a
see
Santa
that?
training.
Oh yeah.
It's the one time a year that you don't have to worry about your waistline.
What are some other areas in entertainment that are pretty popular for some of your clients?
One of the trends right now seems to be, of course, ever since the 70s, the disc jockey thing has been popular. Magic is always popular. But right now, there's a trend in kids' party and kids' entertainment, whether it's the bounce house, the inflatable bounce house business, whether it's a uh, audience participation games and contests. Um, I know dress up parties for girls. They're called princess parties, where they go in and they do princess dress up makeover type things. Uh, there's a male version of that, dress up parties, where they dress up as, you know, superheroes or whatever they want to be when they grow up, firemen, policemen, or whatever. Those are popular for kids. For adults, I think there's the event planning business is big, where people uh, have entertainers and all of the other things, caterers, decorations, and everything to help people plan and create full events, of which entertainment is usually a cornerstone to. So those are some of the things. Of course, there's dancing is always popular. A lot of people want to get into dance troupes. Modeling, promotional event modeling is very hot right now, where people are doing samplings and nightclubs and restaurants and product giveaways at malls and shopping centers and liquor stores and all kinds of venues. So those are the things that seem to be hot right now. But and that's why I have the directory, because I list 40 of them. Some of them are classic and never seem to go out of style. Bands, a lot of people want to grow up and be a musician or a singer or a band. That's always popular. But others want to learn kind of about the specialty things, whether it could be a storyteller that does grade schools or historical reenactments. There's special niches within our business as well. And so those are some of the things right now. But I think the party event planner is popular, and it's expanding into different markets. It used to just be for weddings and corporate events, where now there's all kinds of different markets that are inviting and welcoming those areas of entertainment. And that's more of a behind the scenes opportunity. In the directory, I have one of the misconceptions about entertainment business is you have to have a talent, or you have to have a honed skill. You have to be a good musician, or have singing experience, or have taken years of ballet or something. And those can come into play here. But a lot of these opportunities are behind the scenes opportunities, or opportunities that you can do without having special skills, talents, or abilities, where you contract other performers. If you wanted to start a disc jockey service that did school dances and wedding receptions and street dances or festivals, you could do this not being a disc jockey yourself, and just contract or hire other talent to work for your company. So we teach the behind the scenes as well as the performing opportunities.
Well, that's great. Would you have any tips for entrepreneurs out there who are thinking about kind of jumping in and working for themselves? Over the years, you've worked with a number of people. What kind of stands out as being important for an entrepreneur and being successful?
Well, one of the things I think that a lot of people don't realize till they're kind of in it is anytime you're self-employed, and of course, this includes all types of entrepreneurs, there's a self-discipline that is very rarely spoken about. People always talk about be your own boss, control your own time, take control of your financial situation. And those are all facets of it and aspects of it. But some of the things that people don't think about is you have to be disciplined. When you go to work at a normal job, they determine the hours, they give you the workspace, they create the environment, and usually your job description and the duties and tasks you got to do. Well, when you're an entrepreneur, you are you're the CEO of you. You are in charge of your company, you're in charge of your progress, you're in charge of what gets done, whether you do it yourself, you have a staff that does it, or you outsource it. So I think the thing that many entrepreneurs maybe aren't aware of or don't understand fully is the discipline, the self-discipline that you have to have. I have a program or a system that I use that allows me to only work a 4 or 5 hour workday. But I hit it hard, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm very efficient with it. So I probably get done in 4 or 5 hours what a normal person would do in 8 hours. I only prefer to work 4 days a week because of the nature of my business. For many, many years, I was out on the road touring and performing. I would work Monday through Thursday, and then I would try to work out on the performing on the weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I created a system that worked around me, and other entrepreneurs should do that as well. But I also think the other two tips about that I talk about a lot when I have my materials, my training materials, or I do my live seminars or training events, is I believe in two things. Number one, you don't know what you don't know. And this pertains to any business, any entrepreneur. We all know things, and we're always encouraged to take your passion and turn it into your profit, turn it into your entrepreneurial endeavor, and that's great. But as much as you may know, there are still things you don't know. So you need to realize and recognize that there are things you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know how much you don't know. So that's why I'm a big proponent of always being open to learning, evolving, continuing your education, continuing to learn. And in reality, every person that you talk to, every relationship that you have, because I'm a big proponent of relationship-based business, you're learning, you're expanding, you're evolving, and you're picking something up. And I don't care how long you've been doing this. I just celebrated 40 years. It's 41 years coming up in April. And I still, as a lot of people say, everything about this business. You're America's entertainment authority, live entertainment authority. But there's still things that I'm learning every day too that I didn't know till I was faced with them. So that's a phrase that I use a lot is you don't know what you don't know. And then the last tip would be going deeper. People that have heard me lecture or come to my training events or seminars probably are sick of that phrase, going deeper, but it's something that I think appeals to every part of what an entrepreneur does. If you've got a certain niche, you need to know more, you need to learn more, you need to go deeper into it as far as your knowledge on all fronts, whether it's your target customer, whether it's execution, whether it's marketing, how people market, the sociological, the psychological aspects of your business and your clients. Going deeper than other people do can help position your business and separate you from other competition or other noise that may be in your way. So going deeper is another tip that I always preach, I guess.
Well, those are great tips, Robin. And when did you realize that you had the entrepreneurial bug?
I went to a wedding reception when I was a kid at about, I don't know, 10 or 12 years old. And they had a live band there, and I was just infatuated with it. So I knew that I wanted to get in entertainment, and I wanted to do that. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be up there with that microphone and having people have a good time. And I didn't know if it was going to be in comedy or music or whatever. And but I did. I started out as a musician, and this was in the day of family bands. We had the Beach Boys, the Cowsills, the Osmonds, the Jackson 5. The Carpenters were brothers and sisters. So family groups were really big. The Bee Gees were brothers. And so we started a family band. And my parents were kind of in charge of us, as most kid bands are. But there came a point a couple years into it where my parents, it wasn't their cup of tea. They didn't understand our music, our audience, or anything else. And by this time, we were teenagers. And so our parents kind of left us on our own accord. And we were trying to find a different manager. And long story short, it was just impossible to do as teenagers, to be taken seriously. And yet my parents, I was always in the loop on the business side of things. Well, somebody inquired about this, or we're performing at a nursing home or a festival or a school sock hop or a dance. And I always was aware of the whole process of the inquiry, the sales presentation, the contracting, the pre-production, of course, the show. And then, we would always send out thank you letters afterwards, and the whole process. And when we couldn't find a manager, I said, well, we just need to do this ourselves then, because nobody knows us better than us. Nobody knows our direction and our talents and our strengths and what where we're trying to go with all of this. So I recognized it early on in my early teens, and then by my mid and late teens, started taking on that responsibility myself. And it came naturally to me. I always thought of things that other people, I would go deeper. And I don't know if people were just entertained by this younger guy coming in here trying to talk business, but I think they thought it was cool. They thought we had a novelty. We were good. We had talent. And so that's where it all started. And then a few very short period of time later, maybe a year or two later, in those days, we didn't have the internet and email. So when you were marketing your group or whatnot, you had to send out, your promotional materials and your pictures, your 8x10s, and entertainers don't have a resume like normal conventional business operations do, but we have bios, or what could be an entertainer's resume that has more credits rather than educational content. We've performed on American Bandstand, or we did the Illinois State Fair or Taste of Chicago. We were on the Bozo Show, whatever thing we could do. So we would mail all of this out, and it was expensive. And I remember thinking, geez, if I've got to go to the trouble and expense to mail this out for my group, why don't I represent some other groups, and I could throw their stuff in my package, in my box as well, that I'm mailing out? And that's how I started representing other entertainers as well. One would go out and be our opening act, or another would be a similar band that would, if we couldn't take a booking, we would send them out. And that's how I started my first agency. So the whole entrepreneurial thing just worked well. I was equally, and this has been my, I don't want to say battle, but my back and forth, my whole professional career, is there are times that I enjoy being the performer, the entertainer, the artist, and there are other times where I enjoy being the agent, the producer, the promoter behind the scenes. Both have equally been appealing to me, and I've pursued them both equally. And I think that's been one of my secrets of the success, is a lot of entertainers are more driven to just the creative side, and they're not that good in the business side. So I chose to enjoy and learn and research both, and I went deeper in both sides, as an entertainer and as the agent, producer, promoter behind the scenes.
Wow, that's a great story. So you've represented a number of popular and pretty famous individuals out there, including George Burns, Kenny Rogers, Loretta Lynn, Willie Nelson, and the Beach Boys. Do you have an interesting story that you can tell the listeners about with maybe one of these groups or persons?
Oh, geez. One of my favorites, I don't know that it's interesting to anybody else, but it was one of my, that I think back on. When I worked with George Burns, George was there was a big hoopla about George Burns' 100th birthday, and he was getting up there in age and sharp as a tack mentally. I mean, he still had, some of these old timers have decades. George performed in vaudeville back in the 20s and 30s. So by this point, he had like 50 and 60 years worth of material piled away in his head. And he had a comeback, a joke, a liner, a comment, some hilarious something or other for virtually any topic anybody might happen to go to. And so we're backstage. I'm hosting this event, and we're side stage getting ready to go on. Now, by this point, George, mentally as sharp as a tack, still funny, still a good draw. Comes out in a tuxedo with his token cigar, his hairpiece, his glasses. He kind of looks like Mr. Magoo a little bit, but his legs weren't what he was pushing 100, for goodness sake. So what happened is he would have two gorgeous girls, models, in long evening gowns with crystals and diamonds, that would, when they would introduce them, the band would strike up and start playing, they would walk him out to the center of the stage. And it looked like, two hot girls, one on each arm, walking him out there. But in reality, they were holding him up because he couldn't walk well on his own and didn't want to walk out with a walker or a cane, which I can respect. So they'd walk him out to the center of the stage, and he would do his show from a big chair. It was almost like a throne. He had his ashtray stand next to him, and he would just sit there. He sat there and did the show all night long. And then at the end, these girls come and they escort him off stage. And of course, everybody is just, they thought it was a great performance. They thought these women were just smoking hot, gorgeous. And George walks past me, and they bring him side stage where I'm at. And I kind of take him from there, and they, thank you, Mr. Burns. And he goes, oh, no, honey, thank you. And then they walk away, and he looks at me, and he winks at me, and he says, Robin, you're only as old as the women you feel. And I just thought that was, coming from an almost 100-year-old guy, I just thought that was cute, and it was funny, and I'll never forget that. It was a very memorable exchange between us.
That's a great story, Robin. I really appreciate it. And you've been a lot of fun to be on the show. But before we leave, I would like you to tell the listeners how they can contact you, and if they're interested in your book and in your coaching and all your programs that you offer. How can they find you online?
Well, my entertainment and career business opportunities directory is available at www.entertainmentopportunities.com. We break down 40 different live entertainment opportunities. We kind of give you an overview of all of them, earning potential, startup costs, and things like that. And then for current entertainers or entrepreneurs that are wanting to get more into the entertainment space, I have a website for the entertainment business side of things. Once you're interested, you're either an existing entertainer or you want to learn more about entertainment business, and that's entertainmentsuccess.com.
Wow. Well, thank you, Robin. You are a true professional, and I look forward to staying in touch with you. And hopefully one day I'll get to see that snuggle picture of you and Michael Jordan.
That's becoming known as the blackmail picture. And if I have anything to do with it, you won't see that. Or if you do, it'll be just between us with no cameras, no microphones, or nothing around. But seriously, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I think what you're doing for entrepreneurs and the entrepreneur community is just fantastic. And I'm just privileged and honored to be part of it with you.
Thank you.
Want more entrepreneurial tips? Go to timlaskus.com.